How's everybody doing today? Well, we had a really good practice yesterday, continued with good preparation today. This is the kind of team that I think beats you with, or tries to beat you with, execution, good fundamental football. They do what they do extremely well, and that's when you play teams like that, it's even more important that you can execute over and over and over again, because if you don't, you're going to have to pay for it, because they're going to be very fundamentally sound in what they do. This will be a challenge for us defensively, because we haven't played against a lot of regular people this year. When I say regular, I'm talking about a tight end, two backs, and two wide receivers. And, they got a very good running game and a very good play action game. So to get our players to respond to that, we'll have to continue to get good work for the rest of this week. Defensively, they've got 8 starters back, and they do a really good job of executing, and it's going to be important that we do a better job than we did last year for 3 quarters, and obviously the year before we struggled. So playing on the road, always more difficult, I think, for the offense. We'll work on the noise and try to get that worked out, but defense has to travel and defense has to play well, and I think in games like this, special teams is always very, very important. We don't really have any new injuries or anything to report, so everybody's okay and moving in the right direction.
We'll start on the left side with Rayner.
Yeah, with the departure of Blake Barnett at quarterback, have you given thought to reducing the number of designed runs for Jalen Hurts, and how do you envision that going forward?
Well, we have confidence in, Cooper Bateman. He's been a backup quarterback for us in the past and has some experience and has a similar skill set. And, we certainly don't want to do anything that would get our quarterback injured in any way, shape, or form. But I think his skill set is what it is, and I think, we have to use the things that he can do effectively in our offense. And we continue to try to make improvements in the passing game, but I think one of Jalen's great assets as a player is that he can make plays with his feet, and I don't think we can totally, sort of inhibit him from doing that. And I guess, if he gets injured doing it, then it'll be my fault. If he gets injured by sitting in the pocket throwing a pass, then it's okay. It's football. I don't worry about guys getting hurt. We try to do what we have to do to try to give ourselves the best chance to be successful and try to give him the best chance to be successful.
On the right side here with Tony.
Coach, what have you seen from Bradley Bozeman this season, and how much has he stepped up as a leader on this team?
I think Bradley has done a really good job making the transition to be the starting center, and I think each week he's played better and better, and I think with the position goes a leadership role that he's sort of embraced and taken ownership, making calls, doing the right things, getting people to work together up front. So I've been very encouraged by that and the improvement that he's made and the improvement that we made up front because of it.
Stay over here with Dan.
There was one camera angle on Saturday where it looked like Ronnie might have dropped the ball before he went across the goal line. I was wondering if you noticed that and if you addressed that with the team at all, how you handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. We addressed it before the game ever started, and we showed the whole team that play.
Stay over here with Mark.
Just speaking of playing regular defense, how have some of your other defensive linemen like Joshua Frazier and those guys developed in the second wave?
Well, we're working hard with those guys. Josh has done a good job playing nose guard. We just haven't played a whole lot of regular people where the nose guard plays a lot, but he has played some in nickel and improved and worked hard and got his weight down and moves a little better, pass rushes a little better. I think in a game like this he's going to get a lot of opportunity, to be in there. This is his kind of game, so he's done a really good job. Johnny Dwight we're trying to work with and develop him. Raekwon's still developing. I think Dakota Ball has done a good job, all year long. So we just got to keep working with these guys so that they can be more consistent in how they play, technique-wise, as well as understanding assignments and being able to execute them on a consistent basis.
A couple more. We'll go in the back with Cecil.
Coach, the NCAA D1 Council made several recommendations today, and I know you hadn't had a chance to look at them, but one of those recommendations is for the 10th assistant coach, which you've spoken on before. Could you sort of revisit your thoughts on why you support that?
Right. Well, I think that one of the big things is for the number of players that we have involved, if you do the player-coach ratio in any sport, football is the least. I mean, we have the most players, but ratio-wise, we have the least number of coaches. I think it's always difficult with 9 to break up your staff in a way that special teams has become a really important part of the game, and for a guy to try to coach a position and be the special teams coach is really, really difficult. So I've been an advocate so that we could have a special teams coach. I think it would help from a numbers standpoint in terms of ratio. And then, you'd have 5 coaches on offense and 4 on defense, and I think it's much more workable staff-wise if you have it that way. The one thing that I was informed of before we came in here is the proposal on early signing dates. I am absolutely positively against any kind of early signing date, especially a June signing date before a guy plays his senior year. If we want to have an early signing date after the season, then I would be more for that. But we move the recruiting calendar forward, which creates lots of issues and problems when it comes to not only evaluation of a guy as a player, but more importantly is evaluation of his character, what kind of person he is, what's his academic status, does he have his academic requirements up to his junior year, what's his test score. So you're trying to make decisions about, guys way ahead. I've always talked about football being a developmental game, and that doesn't give the guy that's a little bit of a late bloomer that maybe does a good job in maybe camp over the summer and has a really good senior season. There's going to be more and more guys sign early. We're going to have more and more guys visiting. We'll have guys visiting in the summer. I really don't get that. I mean, I really just don't get that.
Just a follow-up to that point, would a guy like Josh Jacobs be on your team if you had 20 guys signed early?
Probably not. All right, because we would probably be full, and that's what I'm talking about. And we would probably make some academic, character, and maybe evaluation mistakes because you don't even see a guy playing his senior season. And then the other thing from a high school coach's standpoint, I mean, what is really the guy's motivation to play, his and really work hard to get better for his team in his senior year? So I know that guys making commitments, doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. I think we just kind of accept that and we keep recruiting. I think that whole early commitment thing is largely a thing that has been created by the attention that players get from a media standpoint. I think it is what it is. But ultimately, every player should have the opportunity to make official visits, to develop relationships. Now you're doing that earlier and earlier and earlier, which I just don't. I don't see it. I mean, I agree with Urban Meyer on this one. He wrote like a 3-page scenario of why we would want to do this, and I'm in 100% agreement with what his assessments are.
We'll finish up here with Alex.
Talk about Jalen making reads and stuff like that, but I was curious how much of the actual offensive playbook is available at his disposal during game days, and what are you looking for on making those reads and in-game situations?
Well, first of all, we're trying to execute and not do more than what Jalen is capable of doing, and I think it's important that we get a lot of repetitions, that we decide early in the week what we're going to do offensively so that we can go practice it. I think that's true for all players. But I think when you have a young quarterback, that's especially important. And, what we're talking about when basically is you have a play called, you have a pattern that develops, and a guy has to read, sometimes whether the middle field's open or the middle field's closed as to which side he's going to throw the ball to. So that's one of the things we think about. And, other times you're just trying to limit the part of the field that he's going to throw the ball to, and he's reading some kind of a high-low, which is a little bit easier for him to do. So he's a very bright guy. I think he gets it. He just needs, turns so that he can get the kind of experience to feel comfortable and confident in doing this, sort of that same old over and over and over thing that really, everybody thinks you practice something to get it right. You really practice it until you can't get it wrong. There's a difference in that.
Real quick one here. I apologize. I missed it. Michael?
Just ask about Eddie Jackson. As a senior in high school, he had a pretty good year as a receiver. Did it take much convincing to get him to try to play defensive back in college?
No, I don't know what Eddie would say if you would ask him, but Eddie's always done pretty much whatever we've asked him to do. He played corner to start with, and then we asked him to move to safety because we needed him to play safety, and he went right in there and never said a word and just did a good job, learned how to do it, and it's turned out, pretty good to be a pretty good move for him and been a really good player for us and also a good leader. So, we kind of recruited him with the idea that he'd be a defensive back, and I think he kind of came here with that idea. I think everybody in high school likes playing offense, likes scoring touchdowns, likes catching passes, and largely because most of you guys write about that more than you write about somebody who plays defense.